Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. It's 4 o'clock, a little bit after 4 o'clock, right now, 4:26 on the East Coast. This is a special update because the National Hurricane Center has released some more statistics on the storm. They're going to be doing that just about every hour now since the storm is so close to landfall. But right now, Hurricane Milton is a Category 3 storm with 125 mile per hour winds. Let's take a look at this full screen and show you what's going on. There's a lot going on. You can see that spin in the atmosphere there. That is the center of Hurricane Milton. You can see there's Tampa Bay right here. So the forecast and the Hurricane Center sticking with just a south landfall of Hurricane Milton. Looks like it's going to pan out. But look at how far the thunderstorms extend. A lot of tornado warnings happening right now. We're not going to cover those tornado warnings in this. This is not live. They're popping up all over the place. A very active, dirty quadrant, the right-hand side, northeast side of a landfalling hurricane can be very active with tornado production. And you remember we talked about that in the other update, that indeed there was a lot of tornado chances in this part of Florida, and that is indeed what's happening. Let me throw the stats on here for you. At 4 o'clock, the storm center is 100 miles southwest of Tampa, also 100 miles northwest of Fort Myers. Maximum winds right now are 125 miles per hour. That's Category 3. Remember when we talked about the categories, the Saffir-Simpson scale? Show you that just real quickly. Category 3, that's 111 to 129 miles per hour. We're at 125 right now. That looks like it might be the intensity of Hurricane Milton when it makes landfall. And if that is indeed the case, it's going to be a landfalling CAT3 with a lot of damage, pushing a lot of water already. You can see the damage category with the Category 3 is devastating. So back to the stats here. Maximum winds 125, movement of northeast at 17 miles per hour, and the pressure is up to 950 millibars. I think we have seen the last of those pressures around the 900, 905, 910, 915 millibar level. That is really quite impressive for a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico in October. But I also want to show you something very interesting here, and that is GeoCollaborate, to show you that full screen. And I have displayed the Windfield. Remember, we're keeping track of that every hour. This is the Windfield of Hurricane Milton. Look how much it's expanded. Look at that, almost down to Key West and all the way up north here, well north of Tampa, out into the Gulf of Mexico. But it's already on land. We're seeing wind gusts well over tropical storm force in these heavier rain bands as well. But remember, I spoke about these buoys that were being dropped by the NOAA P3 aircraft. Additional ones have been dropped like a fence. It's like almost a defense against the waves of the hurricane, but it's really, they're just monitoring. They're monitoring the waves in real time. And I want to show you some of these measurements now. Waves of 16.6 feet are being recorded at this particular drifter buoy. This is Lagrangian drifter that is from the Scripps Institute of Oceanography. And they are processing this data, and we're feeding it right into GeoCollaborate here. This is from the research side of the house. And look at this, 21.2 feet. At a 8.8 second mean wave period. But look at this. What happens as we get closer to the storm? 22.3 foot waves right here. 22.3. And this one closer to the center, 22.6 feet. And check this one out right here. Close to the center right here, 30.4 foot waves. We have 30-foot waves in the storm force areas. Remember this green area? This isn't hurricane force. This is roughly 50 mile per hour winds around the hurricane. And then it steps up. This is 50 to 73. And then this is 75, 74, 75, up to 125 mile per hour winds. This is the big kahuna, as they say, when it comes to damage. When this comes ashore, this is going to drive a lot of water, particularly to the right of the eye in this quadrant here. going to drive a lot of water as storm surge. So 30.4 foot waves as a mean wave period of 10 seconds there. And this one just a little bit further off, a little bit less, 23.1 feet. So the question is, are these 30-foot waves coming towards the shore? Yes, they are. These waves are being driven by the hurricane, and the winds are making the waves even larger. So by the time this area of the hurricane starts interacting with these buoys, we should see massive increases as well in these wave sizes. And as the storm pushes and pushes forward towards landfall, that's where we're going to see major inundation along the coastline from St. Petersburg all the way down to Sarasota, Bradenton, down to Port Charlotte, and Charlotte Harbor here in Punta Gorda. Also Fort Myers. These waves here are at 21.2 feet. So this is pushing a lot of water this way too. And I want to show you some things that we also, I wasn't able to show this. I just took way too long in the last update, but I'm going to show it on this one. And that's why I wanted to do this sort of intermediate update as well. I want to show you the tides and currents. This is a special website that's monitoring the tidal levels along the coastline here. And you can see what's going on. This one is showing some sort of alerting going on, and you can see what's happening in the tide. So this is the tide prediction. The blue and the red is the observed. So you can see that the red here, I'll get my cursor out of the way, the red is starting to jump up above the predicted level. So this is the water level at Port Manatee in Florida. So we're starting to see some increase in the water level there. Now that's in Tampa Bay. Let's go down here a little bit further to the south in Fort Myers. I want to see Fort Myers and what's happening. Look at that. Look at the tide going up. This was what was happening, and then now it's under the influence of the tropical storm winds, force winds, and it's driving the waters up. And we can see that continuing to drive up. This is minor flood. I think we'll get there with no problem and may get into moderate flood as well, and maybe into major flood as the storm moves closer to landfall. That's something that we'll be watching. But this is real time that we can be monitoring these flood levels as well. How about Naples? Here's Naples down here. What does that look like? Whoa, look at that. Look at the tide going up. You're watching it just as I'm watching it in real time, and it's approaching moderate flood levels in Naples. So they're experiencing flooding across the roads now. I think I've seen some pictures on Twitter of flooded roads coming across in Naples. Remember, anybody who's watching who might be in the area of Naples, that is salt water. It's not fresh rainwater, it's salt water that's coming up and being driven by the tide. Do not drive through that. That salt water will corrode the underside of your vehicle very fast, and you will have problems down the road. And you'll wonder why it's so rusty under there. It's because you drove through that salt water. It's nothing to be fooled with. So look at how fast the rate that's going up. That'll be in moderate flooding soon, and we'll monitor this to see if it gets into major flooding stage. So that's down to Naples. What about all the way down here in the Keys in Florida Bay? This is a sensor here, which is in Vaca Key in Florida Bay. And look at that. Yeah, well, they were dealing with some flooding earlier in the tide levels in minor flood. Then the tide went down, but then the tropical storm was getting closer with the broader Windfield, and it did drive the tide up a little bit. They're okay now, and the tides won't get up above flood level there anymore because we're so far away from the storm. But that's what it looks like so far, even in Miami. Let's see what's happening in Miami. We're starting to see higher flood levels, or higher tide levels, excuse me, in minor flood. And that means the tide's starting to come down now. The tide's going to be starting to go up on the west coast. It's going down on the east coast of Florida, but it's still much higher than the predicted tide. Let's do one more thing. Let's go check out up to the north around Daytona or Jacksonville. These are all alerting right now, and let's take a look. So they are higher than the predicted tide. There's a strong wind coming in from the east because of the pressure gradient and the big wind field from this hurricane. It's driving water into the St. John River there in Jacksonville, but you can see it's higher. It has not reached minor flood yet, which is great. We'll be monitoring this one too as the hurricane moves on. So that's all I wanted to show you right now. This is, again, the satellite image of Hurricane Milton getting closer to landfall. I suspect that we'll see landfall between about 8 o'clock and midnight tonight, somewhere around St. Petersburg or Sarasota. Remember, the eye is overcast, but the center of the storm, it does have a low pressure at the center. That's what the Hurricane Center is going to track. Once that crosses the coastline, that's when they're going to call it a landfall sometime tonight. And then those of you living in Sarasota, Bradenton, Tampa Bay, Tampa area, and then on across to the Space Coast, it's going to be a rock and roll night. Lots of strong winds, lots of power outages, scattered tornadoes as well. So we'll be monitoring it. We'll be doing updates throughout the evening into tonight, and we'll be posting them for the SISE and on the Signal app for the All Hazards Consortium to get a hold of, and also onto the YouTube channel. So thanks so much for watching. That's it for now. We'll be back shortly with a 5 o'clock update that'll probably be uploaded around 6 p.m. Thanks for watching. I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications. Please take care of yourself and take care of your neighbors.